Hey everyone, this is Sir Balo, and for this video, this is going to be the continuation of what we just left sa presentation layer natin, no? And today's video, or in this video rather, I'm going to teach you how to create a dependency injection container, which is very integral sa application natin. Actually, lahat naman ng mga i-introduce ko dito are very integral, important. But this one will tie up everything, all the components that we have made, starting from the domain layer, data layer, the repositories, the entities, the repositories, the use cases, the data sources, and the qubits, no? Now, as you can see right here sa code ko, I've deleted a lot of stuff right here. Actually, yung ano naman natin dito, yung ni-remove lang is yung codes that we use for testing, no, sa Firebase natin ng mga crude, yung data source natin, no, if it works or not, no. So, yeah, after I also deleted yung mga unnecessary na mga files, imports, no. And you will know that if naka-highlight sila by yellow, no. So what's left is this one for now, no. Yung pinaka-starting natin, the material library, and then the Firebase, and then the Firebase options. Yeah. So as I mentioned, we're going to create the dependency injection container, and I will explain how it works and why it's necessary. So yung gagawin natin is we go to the core folder, and then we create a new folder. You right click this core and the new folder, tapos name it as services, because this is a service type na file, and then right click the services, new file, and then we're going to name this dependency, but ano na lang, injection container .dart, and there you go. So next is we're going to create a variable, and we will name it a service locator. And you will find out later bakit locator yung pangalan niya. And then this variable will be equal to the get it. Oh yes, sorry, I forgot pala. Before I proceed with this code, have to wait lang, ano ba to? Ayun, sorry. Ano siya, medyo natabunan siya. I will just zoom out para makita nyo tong terminal. Yan. Because what we're going to do is we're going to import in just one line of code, no. Don't mind this na, just ignore this. Ito to, sorry. You focus on these in just one line, no. Take note, one line. You type everything, just one line. And I will just increase the font para makita nyo. But basically, we're going to include 1, 2, 3, 4 additional dependencies or packages for our project. And the first is the get it for our dependency injection, the shimmer, which I will also explain later, no, paano, and then the Flutter form builder, and these two are you cannot use this unless you need add this also. So magka-tandem tong dalawa. So 4 new packages in total, and we hit enter in our keyboard, or if you're using smartphones, keyboard nyo. And you need internet for this to work, because it's going to download the packages. And there you go. So these are the new packages that were included, yung mga na-plus dito. And then we go back to our injection container, and this time we're now able to type get it period instance colon semicolon, and red siya, no, but don't worry, we can fix that by importing the get it, no? So yun, so ito yung purpose nitong pag ano natin kanina, no, entering this command sa terminal, so that we were able to utilize this get it instance, and this will give us access to the singleton instance of get it in order for us to create our service locator. Next is we will create a initialize na method or function, no? Or let's just name it init, and this function will return a future void, and since future siya, we have to include also the async na keyword and then the body of our method. And now we're going to define kung ano yung laob ng method, what specifically what this method or function, no, ano ba yung gagawin niya, no? What are our specific instructions that we're going to include here. So the first is we type service locator and then register factory. Then I'll explain later anong gamit ng mga ano na to. But for now, you just follow along the the codes. Of course, you're not going to copy what I did because iba-iba naman tayo ng project, no. In this case, this is an expense tracker, so everything that you'll see right here is related to expenses, like expenses and budgets, no? And then okay, so I'm going to enter here after ditong arrow ito, expense qubit, and once I hit enter, it's going to generate these parameters, kasi hihingi ito ng ano ng mga objects for each ano, for dependencies niya, in other words, no. It's gonna depend on the expense list, these 4 use cases that we defined in our previous video. Now, we're not going to create objects using the constructor for each of these 4 parameter use cases, but we're going to type service locator, and then so service locator of a function, no? In other words, we're going to use this as replacement sa ano natin, sa parameter na hinihingi niya, and we're going to apply that for the rest of the parameters na hinihingi niya, or the use case objects na kailangan niya, and that's it. Then next is by the way, this is for the ano pa lang, this is for the application layer. As you recall, this is the only, ito yung pinaka main component that is involved sa application layer, or presentation, sorry, this should be presentation layer pala, baka mali confuse kayo, no? And then we go with the domain layer, and as you remember, yung domain layer, we have use cases right here and repository, but we're going to focus on the use cases, and right here I have 7, but for the sake of this video, just to make it short, no, I'll just focus on these 4 major CRUD operations, no? Add, edit, delete, and get all. So ganun pa rin actually yung gagawin natin, service locator, and then register, ano ba to, lazy singleton, and then just like what we did, you can actually control space this, tapos merong lalabas siya na arrow, open close parenthesis and with an arrow. This is a anonymous function, if you recall sa inyong sa Dart language, and then this will followed by add expense. And then okay, we remove this comma, and then dapat pinaka-last is. So for this one, just like what we did, we will replace this with this service locator na function, or yung service locator natin, na get it instance. And then this is for the add expense pa lang, right? And we're going to do this 3 times more. So 1 2 3. Just para mapadali, just copy everything, highlight, copy, then paste. Paste 3 times para short, madali. And then I'll just add i-rename ko lang to edit, hit enter. Yan. So yun yung shortcut sa VS Code. If you can see na may lumalabas na yung yung gusto mo na constructor like this one, you can click it, or you can use the keyboard, hit enter, and then that will automatically also import that. And then lastly is get all expenses, hit enter. Yun. So we're done. Next we go with the data layer. And sa data layer, the reason that yung repository is not in the domain layer, kasi remember what we define right here sa domain layer is just an interface lang ng repository, but the actual class, concrete class or implementation is in the data layer. So that's why in the next we'll just copy this one, but we're going to replace this with expense repository implementation. And there you go. Now this one is going to be a bit different because we're going to insert this annotation right after the single tone, this the symbol right here. Tapos you enter the name of, if you recall, now this is from the domain layer, data layer. Okay. Repository implementation. Okay. Ito, yung lalagay natin dito should be the name of our interface class. This one. Yan, expense tracker features sa domain layer. Yan, yung domain layer na repository, the interface that we defined. And then the next is yung data source, data layer to. So I'll just copy everything and I'll just replace just like what we did. We'll start with the, diba yung data source, we have 2 files right here. The other one is yung interface, abstract class. The other one is the class that implements our interface. So which is, we named it as expense firebase data source. So I'm gonna, yung ilalagay ko dito is expense firebase data source. And yung corresponding interface niya, which is expense, wait lang, if you're not sure, you can check naman yung data source folder niya. Okay, expense remote data source. I'll just copy or control C and then paste, and that's going to, yan. Okay, then lastly we copy everything, and then okay, ito is going to be different, so I'm gonna remove this one, and then this will just be a Firebase Firestore, Firebase Firestore that period instance. Okay, I think nagsobra tayo ng extra parenthesis. Ayun, okay, so we save that, and yun. Now let me explain to you what's going on in our code, no? Let me just zoom out lang. So these are what we call as our injection container, which is yung main purpose niya is to manage dependencies. Kasi as I mentioned kanina, this expense qubit is depending on 4 use cases, yung add expense, edit expense, delete expense, and get all. Ito namang add expense na component ito, this is also depending on the repository implementation, repository natin expense. Same thing ito, edit, delete, they are relying on exactly one instance of the expense repository. Yung repository naman is depending on expense remote na data source, and yung expense remote data source is also depending on the Firebase Firestore. So yun, again, ito yung purpose niya ng injection container, to manage all the dependencies. And how does it manage the dependencies? Yung purpose nitong register, factory, and lazy singleton is each of these objects or components natin, they are being registered into our service locator. So this one is naka-register na siya. By calling this function, we are registering this object sa service locator. This add expense, na-register natin siya sa service locator. Edit expense, na-register siya, and so on and so forth, no? Now, if we're going to visualize this, it looks something like this. This is our injection container, or aka our service locator. It contains all the components na naka-register sa kanya. And whenever, let's say for example, yung program natin, whenever it needs or is going to ask for a certain object, let's say block, and as you can see, it depends on use cases na objects. Yung mangyayari is the block, this block that is represented by blue, no, is going to look this dependency sa injection container, or rather the injection container is going to inject the dependencies na kailangan ng itong apat na components na to. The block needs a use case, so okay, the injection container provide that to the block. Okay, use case, you need a repository. Okay, so injection container is going to provide that, and so on and so forth. So yun, that's how dependency injection works. And so that's pretty much it for this video, because in the next video it's gonna be a different concept, and I don't want you to get mixed up with the concepts. But for now, this, oh yeah, there's something that I forgot pa pala, no. Now this is just for one use feature, no. This is for the expense feature. Feature number 1 is expense. Any crude operations related to expenses, that's for feature 1. Now what you're going to do is you're going to copy everything and then paste it below. Let's say this is for feature number 2 in my case now, so budget. And then of course you're just going to replace expense to, of course, you just replace it with budget. Sorry. And of course this doesn't mag-error to kasi hindi ko pa to na define sa program. This doesn't exist pa, but yung main point ko is everything right here, you replace that with the budget. So if you have bad budget, ayun. So oh yeah, make sure also na the names of the classes right here na nilalagay nyo should also correspond to the class definition nyo. So let's say add expense, no, of course mag-error yan kung add expense use case, and that is because that's not the name of my file or my class right here. So ano yung pangalan ng class mo, that should also be the same right here. So add expense, and then again you just replace everything, add budget, edit budget, delete budget, get all budgets, basta palitan nyo lahat into budgets. But for this one, since we already have registered the Firebase Firestore instance already right here, you can just simply delete it na lang. Yan, delete mo na lang, and yun. So that would be all for this video, and in the next video I'm going to cover a different parts of ano pa rin sa presentation layer pa rin, and yeah, that would be all, and goodbye.